welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
I'm Matthew, and it's a new year 2021 and we have a new Audi Q5.
That's right, Audi have made their #1 seller even cutier. Did you get it? Come and take a closer look. So launched in 2009, the Q5 really did just thrust into the market and put, jump straight to the #1 spot. And it really has sold very well. This is the second generation and the facelift from there, so you've now got, just a much better, wider face. Look at this octagonal grille with cascading or ribbed vents. It's just very, very cool and dominant and wide, and look at that, expansive. Also, the air curtains are up here. They're a lot taller, a lot wider, a lot bigger, a lot more focal, and LED lights with some really cool displays as they go on. Not as cool as the rear, but I'll get to that in a moment. But very good face, very in keeping with Audi's new signature look, and I really like it. Love the 3D 4 rings, very cool. Let's have a look around the side. Our review models comes in district green, and it is metallic. It's such a strong dark green and fits in with this district. Doesn't bring it down at all, brings it up, which is awesome. This one comes 21-inch feet. They're massive. Look, you want to know how tall I am? That's 21 inches. Love it. Really strong belt line all the way through here. That's very sharp, and because it's S-line badging, of course, and nice pronounced wheel arches. Had to think about what they are, front and rear. Nice. Look at this, lovely wide, nice profile, but realistically it hasn't changed much in size or profile. Let's take a look around the rear. Up the top, obviously a roofline spoiler. These are the big things, these OLED technology rear tail lights. I'll see if I can show you them at night, but basically they've got different signature lights that will change, and it's a world first, which has got to be good. And the good thing about it, when you lift the boot, just with basically with all the Audi Q series, the lights go with the boot, so give you with the tailgate, so give you plenty of room inside. This is the 45, as we said before, with TFSI. It's got trapezoid exhaust tips, although there's not much of an exhaust behind you, but we don't really worry about that. So trapezoids on the back, octagonals on the front. I mean, this is a trigonometrist, just, mathematician's playground. Gotta love it. Inside the boot, kicker tailgate, and look at that, 550 litres to play with and carry whatever you want. Let's take a look under the bonnet. Under here is Audi's very, very popular 2-litre TFSI, and that produces 183 kilowatts of power, 370 newton meters of torque, so plenty there. Thanks to its Quattro system, it will go from 0 to 100 in 6.3 seconds, and thanks to its mild hybridness, has a fuel economy of 7.5 litres per 100k, so quite a lot going on under here. Speaking of a lot going on, there's lots going on inside, and Matthew will show you all around there.
So once you hop in this interior here, you will find that, as Dave said, and he doesn't lie often, I've found, is that there is actually a lot going on around here, and that's sort of the main talking point with this second generation Q5 facelift, is that the interior suddenly become, not that it was bad before, but it's suddenly become so much more lavish, almost, you could say. So all the materials here, you've got soft plastics all around, even down. It's not bad, frankly. Anything that's not covered in soft plastics is either covered in leather, like the steering wheel, or across the middle you have this sort of galvanized steel aluminium material. And in continuing with that theme, you also have the buttons along the middle, again covered in a sort of aluminium finish, very shiny, very nice to touch. And down the middle you also have glossy black plastic, all that sort of stuff. So the general fit and finish in here is really good, and of late especially, Audi's interiors are, I would like to say, class leading as well. They're really good in general. And the leather seats that you get, lovely soft leather. There's a nice cross stitch going through there, and you get these nice perforations on it. Both the driver and passenger seat are 8-way electric adjustable and have got heated features as well. So plenty to keep you comfortable on the motorway or in the city as well. In terms of practicalities, there's plenty around here. You get nice big door bins there, plenty for water bottles, stuff like that. You get a little storage under here for your key. Sorry, that's actually the wrong key. You also get another storage cubby in here for the right key. This is the Audi one. And space in here for a phone, but the thing is that it won't fit the biggest of phones, but don't worry, that's not an issue because there's another phone holder right here and that has wireless charging as well. Pop the top open there and you have some more storage space, and if you don't like to see your phone when you're driving, you can just slide it under there, cover it up. Reveals your cup holders there, which are heated and cooled on the 55 model as well. You get a nice big glove box as well, and you know, just the general sort of thoughtfulness in this cabin is really good. The Germans, you know, think of all the things that you normally wouldn't think of. Speaking of those things, let's hop into the infotainment screen and have a play around there. Another part of the update of the facelift with this new Q5 is Audi's refreshed MMI system. It's very simple, very easy to use. You know, the options and menus are all really quick, and it's very, very clean system, I've got to say. But other than that, there's not much going on with this. The fact that it's there is an improvement over the previous generation. But another standout feature with this car is that when you go into settings and you click into the display, there's actually a new mode under Audi's virtual cockpit, the dynamic mode. So let's hop onto the driver's seat and take a look at what's new with the virtual cockpit. Right, so this is dynamic mode. So on the left you have your rev counter, fuel gauge, and on the right you have your speedometer. Now, if I rev the car a bit, you can see that the gauges are a little bit different. The way it moves along, almost like a video game rev counter. If you press view, you can expand the map to take up the whole screen there. Press it again and you go back to that setting. And it's the same for all the various different virtual cockpit settings. So if you press sport, and it'll change to a more traditional layout, and everything is italicized now and more almost RS-like. And pressing the view button does the same thing here, and you can go into classic mode as well, and that makes it a little more sensible, less italicized and less dynamic looking. This may be a facelift, and there's certainly a lot of changes to the looks, but let's see if anything's changed with the seats in the back. Once you're in the back of the Q5, you'll notice the sort of good amount of space that's here. Firstly, this driver's seat is pushed as far back as it can go and nearly as low as it can go, and still got some knee room there, plenty of foot room certainly, and of course headroom is a heap. These nice big windows at the back here, even though they're tinted, give you a lot of light coming in, so nobody feels claustrophobic at the sitting in the back here. Leather's really comfortable. You can pop down the center armrest, which also has two cup holders there, another nice feature. And there's plenty of little cubbies here, bottle holders in the door, cargo nets there, two phone charging points in the middle as well, along with a 12-volt socket. But one thing I guess that's almost a downside of this rear is the fact that this central tunnel is just so big. I mean, for me to bring my leg over it is quite a task, but yeah, I guess that's thanks down to the four-wheel drive quattro system, which will help you get out of sticky situations off-road. In saying that, while getting over the central tunnel is hard, what's not hard is driving the car, because it's just such a good thing to swing about. So let's take the Q5 for a drive and see where all the new improvements have made.
So the second generation facelift, which I could do with Audi Q5, this is the S-line, so it's got a lot of the bells and whistles without the, I guess the S power or the RS power, but it's actually really well laid out, really well decked out. And as far as the new look Q5 goes, with the new front grille and I don't know, more sculptured appeal, they really have hit the mark. It's lovely. You can see why this mid-sized SUV, you can see why it's so popular.
I mean, remember when the Audi Q5 first came onto the scene? It was 2009 and there wasn't much in the way of competition in this segment back then. And it was only the second Audi SUV to be released, frankly, other than the Q7. So in these 11 or so years since then, a lot of new SUVs have come into this market, but somehow the Audi Q5 has kept selling well, kept on top of the game, and this facelift version just continues with the same team, to be honest, because it's a really nice car.
We've been driving quite a few different cars recently, and the first thing I noticed when I jumped into this car was that lovely smell of leather, and it's something that Audi does so well, really deck out their cars with luxury and a refinement that it makes you feel special. And comfort wise, you do feel special. The seats are form-fitting, it's the leather steering wheel. It's just a really nice feel about the whole thing.
Even for someone as critical as me, everywhere I seem to touch or scratch or whatever, it's just soft plastics, leather, that sort of brushed metal. The finishing is just on another level.
The increase of, or the new MMI system, or the upgraded MMI system, the virtual cockpit, everything's there that you need, and then some. You're not left wanting for any information about where you are, what speed you're going, what miles per gallon you're doing, anything like that. It's just really good. And then when you jump into dynamic mode, which we've seen earlier, you get more information. And I don't know, there's just an abundance of it, and that's great.
Audi is very German, of course, so they like to be niggly about those informative bits and stuff like that. But I'll tell you how German they are, frankly. They have been very kind and supplied us with a display cleaner for obviously the touchscreen and the virtual cockpit. Now, I don't know if you can see, but this bottle is actually wrapped in a cloth to wipe the display with. Only a German could think of that. Only Audi could do it.
Yeah, there are some, I don't know, I wish they would upgrade the indicator stalks and bring them. I guess if they're not broke, don't fix it, but it just seems like these have been around since Audi first began. I would have liked a flat bottom steering wheel rather than the round one. Speaking of niggly, right? First world problems.
I thought I was the critical one here.
But realistically, the way your hands feel and everything, it's just great.
I've got to say as well that having the cruise control on a separate stalk as well also feels a bit outdated. But relatively speaking, that's really the only sort of things around here that feel outdated, because everything else feels very much 2021 and almost trend setting, because remember, this is the facelift model, so it's supposed to give you a fresh sort of feel as far as most of the things go.
The powertrain is as punchy as you'd expect, which is awesome. The 2-litre engine is responsive in sport and dynamic, and there's plenty of power underfoot, and 6.3 seconds 0 to 100 is not bad. It's quite acceptable for something that doesn't have an RS badge, or you can see they're leaving room for something with more power, which is great.
Obviously, we're not complaining if an SQ5 or RSQ5 model comes along, and you just know it will. The 2-litre turbo engine is, of course, the Volkswagen Audi Group's tried and tested unit. It features, stuff like the GTIs, the Golf Rs, the Audi S3, stuff like that. So it is essentially a performance engine, but it is a bit detuned on a car like this. In saying that, it's still quicker than my GTI, and this Q5 is about 300 or 400 kilos heavier, so I'm
500 with me in it. But the other stuff, handling wise, it's quattro. It's bound to be good. It's bound to be solid on the road, whatever the weather, and that's another good thing. If you've got the family in here, you want to be safe, and this is loaded with safety tech and equipment and aids. It just loaded in them. Just everything from that auto start stop for fuel economy to hill hold to blind spot to everything. And those lights are so cool. Audi have become really good at their light displays, and these new ones having the OLED is just awesome. Very, very cool. I can't wait to drive behind myself. It doesn't make sense, but
remember that Audi were, of course, the first ones to almost make those full-time LED lights the norm, basically, as they did with the R8 and all that stuff way back, more than 10 years ago. And ever since then, every manufacturer has been doing it. But remember, Audi was the first, so they've just done it again with this OLED taillights, and you'll probably see it on some more Audis now.
I love the new name of the car palettes. This is the district green, and it's metallic, and car names always just make me chuckle, and this is another good one. It blends into the district really nicely, and that's cool. And then there comes the ride. I mean, I find it quite firm, but reassuringly firm. What about yourself?
It's, I think, something definitely to do with having an S badge all over the car. That will definitely firm up the ride, and especially we've been doing a lot of driving in sport or dynamic mode. But even though the ride is a bit on the firmer side, we've been through a lot of speed bumps, some really harsh ones today, and frankly it's never been jarring, never been back-breaking. It's just comfortable, but just the right amount of firmness for you to take corners without having that much of body roll.
So there you have it, Audi's new facelifted Q5. Much more Q-ter. I know we started off on there, so I'm ending like that. It's smart, clever, great to drive, and as special as you'd expect it to be honest.
I mean, with all this sort of stuff, you can just see exactly why the Q5 has been an absolute bestseller for Audi. And frankly, with stuff like this in the facelift, I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Thanks for watching. Really enjoyed having you along. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Tell us if you did. Tell us if you didn't. We won't change it, but tell us if you did. That's the one we're after. Subscribe if you can as well.
And as always, we'll see you next time.
See you.